We're gonna try and record this video without upsetting the cat. That's Pippin. But I'm loud. MMOs have struggled in recent years. Hell, they've struggled in the last decade. With stagnated growth, the same handful of MMOs staying at the top with little movement elsewhere. New projects once seen as the answer to the MMO genre crawling through broken glass just to get to freaking early access, let alone launch. And then in recent years, cancellations and closures with such devastating rapidity and breadth that they make the late 2000s WoW clone deaths of games like Age of Conan and Warhammer seem rosy. Through it all, fans of MMOs have desperately needed one thing above all else, one thing that would maybe just help pull us out of this spiral, this death spiral. All in this genre that is beset by negativity and disillusionment. And that one thing is hope. In the period of the last few months, we might actually have it. It comes on the heels of two very different announcements that kind of hit two very different parts of the MMO genre with that little inspiration, with that little injection of positivity. Now, it's not necessarily because either one of these announcements is the standard-bearing, genre-saving game that's coming. Not really at all. It's more about what they represent. It's about how they were announced and when they're coming. It's about immediacy. EverQuest Legends was announced in March of this year and released to the public in July of this year. Guild Wars 3 was announced at the Summer Game Fest this year and plans to go into beta by fall of 2027. In a genre that has become defined by endless waiting, these two are not doing that. One that represents a modernized experience of a classic staple, and the other representing the next step in action-oriented MMOs in one of the most iconic IPs in the MMO genre. These two games are skipping the timeline. They're skipping the queue. Now, yes, the latter, Guild Wars 3, could still potentially slip. Delays do happen in gaming after all, but the confidence to announce a beta date roughly a year from your reveal is not something we're used to, even from the biggest budget MMOs. Hell, just look at the parent company of ArenaNet themselves, NCSoft, who announced Throne and Liberty as Lineage Eternal all the way back in November 2011 and didn't have a closed beta until 2016, then rebranded it in 2022 to Throne and Liberty, finally launching it in July of 2024. Almost 13 years from the announcement date to actually launching for a really like a AAA MMO, an MMO from one of the largest companies to create MMOs, one that's already done many successfully. Guild Wars 3 is claiming to be the next evolution in MMOs, and they aren't the only one. Games like Chrono Odyssey and Arcade Chronicles are also claiming similarly revolutionary bona fides. But what makes Guild Wars 3 stand out is they're already in part telling you why. Parkour, movement. Guild Wars 3 will be making movement a focus of its upcoming genre, changing how you approach movement in MMOs that are often stagnated by kind of like simple movement systems, fitting well with a series that redefined mount movement to a point where WoW actually went and copied their flight system. But what really makes this so important to the genre right now is that this is an MMO with a pedigree, a proven track record of greatness from Guild Wars 1 and especially Guild Wars 2, a developer, despite their publisher, that has generally one of the better and most fair monetization models out there that they're also carrying over to their new Guild Wars. Because honestly, some of the MMOs we've seen in recent years may have actually had a chance to catch an audience, but instead of doing that, they decided to try and go for a small slice of audience by having monetization models that are untenable. And I look at someone that's coming out this year, like Aeon 2, as yet another one of those games. And all of this with Guild Wars 3 is happening a lot sooner than we might have expected from the announcement. I think the only more groundbreaking MMO sequel that could have been announced that would have had a bigger impact would have been like a World of Warcraft 2 or an EverQuest 3. But even the latter in EverQuest 3, I don't know if that holds as much current cachet in the MMO genre as Guild Wars 2 does at this point. This announcement was a special little bit of hope in a valley of death and destruction that we've been dealing with. Meanwhile, EverQuest Legends, on the other hand, is a surprising entry to a storied franchise, not just because it both reimagines core elements of the game by multi-classing, item combining, and making content that used to require 70+ people soloable or handled in groups of 2 to 4, but also because it's going beyond this by creating custom content, new zones, new playable races, new items, and new named NPCs. It's a bit like EverQuest Classic Plus, but the most shocking to me about it, it's not actually technically developed by Daybreak. It's developed by a new studio, GameJohn, a small little studio spun up of former EverQuest emulator developers who brought it to life through a licensing deal with Daybreak. It is a licensed new MMO of a storied MMO that is actually running concurrently with that MMO. We've spent years asking where the hell is WoW Classic Plus, and as with most things when it comes to reinventions of a classic MMO, EverQuest is doing it first. They did progression servers first, they did special rule set servers first, and now they're doing EverQuest Classic Plus first. I really want to focus in with EverQuest Legends, not just about all the things that have already been discussed about what it changed, but the fact that it's actually creating new content, new NPCs, new zones, and even promising an alternate timeline that may go differently past Knark, which is expected this December to expand the game. This has created perhaps the most excitement around the EverQuest IP outside of pure hope for EverQuest 3 in quite some time. I know at least I'm personally very addicted to this, and I've been putting way too much time into it and creating way too many videos about it. In the end, both of these games may completely flop. They could also end up both being hits. More likely, they're probably both going to end up somewhere in the middle. I don't see either of them being particularly revolutionary or changing so much about the genre that we all look at this as like some watershed moment. What I think is that we were drowning, and this is a lifeline that was so desperately needed. As long as EverQuest Legends can keep up with creating new content, keep up their servers, keep everything stable, and keep it going, that should continue to do well. As long as Guild Wars 3 doesn't face any crazy delays that push it back further and further to the point where we start losing hope in it, then I think that will be a revelation next year. I think that could potentially help with kind of the hope around some of the games that may have seen hits over the last couple years, like games like the Riot MMO or EverQuest 3, that if you're sitting and looking and saying, well, the market is fucked because this got canceled and this got canceled and this imploded, you know which one I'm talking about, then at least now you have these signs that maybe there is health in the genre. One of the last big signs we had of that was sadly New World, when they hit 1 million players when they launched, or almost 1 million players, and now that one's closing. So I think that this is a good jolt for the genre. But now I want to hear what you have to say. Let us know down in the comment section below. What do you think? Does this make you more positive about the genre in general? Are you excited about Guild Wars 3? Are you playing EverQuest Legends? Let us know down there. My name is Redbird Flynn. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you all soon. And he slept through the whole freaking video. That's Pippin.